Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video, we are going to be going over the latest letter from the producer live. What letter from the producer live are we even on anymore? I've stopped even paying attention to the number. Try to scroll up for the translation. Just live letter from TGS. It's probably in here somewhere. I don't know. I think I just accidentally scrolled way up. Now I don't know where it is. Here we go. We are back in the correct spot. There it is. Oh, it's cut off. 83. There you go. It's cut off over there. Here it was, 83. I found it finally. There we go. We had to go through some technical difficulties to find it. Anyway, this one was short and sweet. They were on the Tokyo Game Show stage. They only had 80 minutes total, including for their little merch push. So it was basically like an hour of here's everything in 7.1. We actually, well, not everything, but a lot of stuff. And it was pretty exciting. Plenty of surprises, some of them for the more casual goer, some of them for the more hardcore like myself. And some of them have me already eating out of depression because I can already see all of my time disappearing in 7.1 because of raids. Let's get into it. So there's no trailer for patch 7.1. Oh, and these translations come from the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit Discord. I use their translations every time. Miuna and Aluna Minori. They work together, they post the screenshots, they do the translations. It's a good time, good, great, grand, wonderful. Always make sure you're using them or, I guess if you have another option, you can, but they're always great. That's what we use every single time. You can tell that I'm pretty excited to talk about this, can't you? Anyway, here's the patch artwork. Now, let me break down this patch artwork for you real quick. At the top, we have what is likely the final form in the new Ultimate, because that's Reen with a black Gaia dress, a black ends to her hair. She has a white wing on one side from her Shiva form, a black wing on the other, and I'm scared. So have fun with that. That's the Oracle of Light and Dark right there. I didn't think they would just show us what was very likely the final phase of the new Ultimate, but there you go. Now, to her bottom right, we have Shadow Lord. I've made a full video about Shadow Lord. He is the main antagonist of the base game of Final Fantasy XI. And if you want to know more, please look at my Who is the Shadow Lord video that I made months and months and months ago. I will be making more videos on that on one of the other characters that is currently present in this artwork. Next, we have Bakul Jaja, who I suppose will be featured in the MSQ. We do get some look at Galulja, as well as it looks like Zoralja is going to be getting a little bit more story involved as well. It looks like we'll be kind of unraveling how Galulja exists in the MSQ. The next character, the one that's an elven girl pointing, is Prish. She is one of the main characters from the Chains of Promethea expansion for Final Fantasy XI. And among its many heroines, she's largely a fan favorite. Those of you who played Dissidia Duodecim may remember her. And she actually has a voice scene there, which if she doesn't have any voice here, will still mean that's the most she's ever been voiced. She's voiced in like a handful of things. I remember she's even like full like MV like rendered with like the Warrior of Light in one of the Duodecim cutscenes. But she is a fan favorite amongst the Final Fantasy XI fans. You'll see a lot of joy to be seeing her. And I, of course, will be doing a video describing who her character is, what role she plays, and how she is very likely to tie into the Final Fantasy XI raid series. Then in the bottom left, we have the Cloud of Darkness. Now, keep in mind, when we first saw this, we thought, well, Final Fantasy XI does have a Cloud of Darkness. There's 2 other Final Fantasy XI characters on this. Maybe that's that, but that looks a lot like the Final Fantasy III version. And I can tell you it is. And it is the World of Darkness version. And that's going to tie into something very important later on. Now, for the actual patch name, it's called Crossroads. I think that's the only one, like, I can't think of any other patch that's one word other than expansions. So Crossroads, patch 7.1, Crossroads. That's what it's called. Then we get into some screenshots. Of course, we have, we have our Dawn servants and everything, just getting used to their new role. We have Galulja, Cryo, we have Graha. Here's what looks to be an Echo flashback with Zoralja. Again, we're probably unraveling a little bit about Galulja's history. And oh boy, when we go over what the dungeon is, it gets kind of messed up. You'll see. Our Allied Society quests, previously the Beast Tribe or Tribal quests, are the Pelu Pelu, and they are the combat tribe. The Hanu will also be joining us for this as well, but we don't know much else. It is the combat job. You will be able to use it to level from 90 to 100, and it will sync with your level as, you know, Allied Society / Tribe Quest have in the past. So that's the first one. I expect Moblins will be crafting or gathering, and then the remaining one would be, who am I forgetting? I was going to say the Hanu initially, but no, there's one more. What, my brain's not working right now. I guess technically the Solution 9 people we could do something with that. I don't think we're going to have the Yaqui. I actually don't think the Yaqui are going to get tribe quests. I think they should, but, and they are one of the tribes that was teased as we were, you know, expanding everything, but I don't know. I would have thought that they would have been the combat, but maybe that's just because they're trolls. And so I'm profiling the trolls being like, yeah, combat. No, that's not right. The trolls can be whatever they want to be. The Yaqui. They're the trolls from Final Fantasy XI. New custom delivery, we have Nidowikwe. So we're going back to the train. I assume we're building a train with them for the custom deliveries, but I'm glad to be back with all of these NPCs. One of my favorite little callbacks to Shadowbringers that we had with these three right here. We have the finales to the role quests. So you need to have all the role quests done currently, and then you can do the new finale quests. We have a couple of screenshots for those, as you can see. There you go. The whole crew is back together. And then we have the Wachumeki combined quest. So same deal. You need to have all the Wachumeki quests done for your crafters and your gatherers. And then you can do this finale quest. That'll be in 7.1x at some point. Then we scroll down. You can see a few more of the NPCs. It's a finale for the business district. Then we have Nashu. Hildebrand. We knew that was happening at 7.1x. Not really a surprise. But we need to stop Nashu from blowing everything up. And as you can see, that's the Warrior of Light's hand. They've already had to stop her. She's already trying to blow things up, and we've already had to stop her. Because clearly that bomb was lit, and we have stopped it. And the fact that we did it with our bare hands is impressive. Just need to cut off the oxygen. I swear if we let our hands go and it's still going, I'm going to be upset. New Game Plus support. Don't know why the expansion doesn't launch with that, but Viper and Picto job quests, all the role quests, main scenario quests, the expected stuff. Then we have duty support. They're actually going to be going back and reworking alternate dungeons, it looks like. Support for non-main scenario quest dungeons to be implemented moving forward. They're only doing Halatali in 7.1, which means this is going to take forever. This is literally going to take the next 10 years. Even Yoshi P himself, I think, says right here, we might take 10 years. Ormvale, maybe one day. So yeah, this is going to be incredibly slow of a process. But gradually, they're going to rework the side dungeons and also add... I don't know if they'll do all of them. Halatali is part of like your Grand Company quests and like another side quest as well. So maybe they'll focus on the quests that have unlocks tied to them. For example, we have some quests in like Heaven's Ward and Stormblood that are tied to a dungeon that are required for flying. But those dungeons aren't part of the MSQ. So it's kind of messed up. I'd assume that dungeons like that should really be a priority, but they didn't say that. That's just what I think would be the more valuable things to focus on are things that are part of unlocks. Like Armvale's tied to Grand Company, Zamiel, Cutter's Cry, all those. Those might as well be the priority instead of like every kind of side dungeon and like hard mode dungeon along the way. But if it's one per patch, they're going to take a long time to get it done. Hopefully Ormvale at some point. It'd be good to not be afraid of that. Hall of the Novice update. One of our big surprises. They're adding a head marker, basically Hall of the Novice equivalent, to teach you what stack markers do, spread markers do, tank buster markers do, towers, all the things that us experienced players take for granted. We know this. We just tell you, oh, it's just towers. Just do the towers. Oh, chariot, dynamo. The head markers they're going to be teaching you. Actually, Todd asked specifically about this at Media Tour, if memory serves. I believe it was Todd. And we're getting it. So there you go. Worked out. On top of that, it opens up at level 49, and it's not going to be required, but they probably should make it required because it should really be required. I wonder if it's going to come with like a new like EXP bracelet or ring or something. Like, I wonder if they'll, because it's level 49, I wonder if it'll come with any updated rewards. That'd be nice. I mean, you don't really need gear because the job quests take care of that at 50. So, I mean, but accessories? Sure. Man, maybe a bracelet or something. Graduation exam? Yeah, then there's like a big final boss graduation exam, which is kind of cool. PvP, this got me excited. Initially. I saw extensive update to PvP action, execution, and hit detection. I thought they were going to be doing not rollback netcode, but like something equivalent so that like you don't lag and like lose a hit kind of deal. And maybe that'll tie into it, but I doubt it. It's more like, so Final Fantasy XIV, when it first released, all spell effects effectively didn't do anything until they made contact with an enemy. And they took that away because it wasn't responsive enough in PvE. But when they took it away, PvP also got that same, basically matching that. So like as soon as you press, for example, what the example they use is Primal Rend, you've already stunned the opponents, even though you're not actually on top of them. Which has its upsides and its downsides. Upside being you're stunning immediately. Downside being half of the time that they're stunned, you're not even in range of them to follow up. It also means that they can't react to it at all. They're just not CC'd for as long, and they have to react to it afterwards or blow like a purify or something. Instead, effects will work when the animation goes off. So things like the Dark Knight pull, the animation's going to have to go off to pull people in before they'll get pulled in. Primal Rend, you won't stun until you actually reach them with the animation. That's going to be really bad for some jobs. That's going to be a good nerf to certain abilities and how toxic they are. But we also don't know what the new PvP abilities even are. Like, I'm only thinking about how that applies to now. And they said every job is getting new PvP actions except Viper and Pictomancer because they're new. Like, all their actions are new. So it remains to be seen. I was hoping it would kind of be like a lag counteract kind of deal, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. They did say there is going to be PvE job balance as well. They're just going to buff a few jobs within some roles, which tells me that Fizz range probably still screwed. Anyway, moving on. Probably good news for Summoner and Red Mage, so y'all can rejoice. Here in Fizz range, I'm going to press Samba and shut up. But yeah, then they're talking about like Machinist LB, probably an example of a bad time for this. Like Machinist LB is useful because of how snappy it is. If you can react to it, it gets a little less useful. Little less useful. Yeah, PvP actions, adjustments, all that stuff. Apparently, Black Mage is changing a whole lot, and Yoshi P would know. It's his job. They're making arena improvements to the Red Sands and Cloud 9. That's not entirely prevalent. And they're also making some balance adjustments to Frontlines and Rival Wings. So, first of all, Rival Wings mentioned. Big W. But apparently, Frontlines is getting huge updates in 7.2, and this is prep for it. Please make Frontlines only 2 teams, and then put Frontline and Rival Wing all in the same roulette, and stop treating Rival Wings like it's a redheaded stepchild. It's been ignored. It's been disrespected. The only reason anyone does it is for the Mahjong event, and because Primal holds events called Revival Wings like every weekend. Please, just get them all in the same roulette, or give it its own roulette. Do something. It's just sitting there begging. Anyway, on to battle content for 7.1. The dungeon, the Ueyawada Field Station. All right, it's clearly in Heritage Found. It's going to be dealing with it's part of the main story. Oh, look, there's just cute little entrance right here. And then suddenly, Resident Evil. Given that story's about Golulja, I'd assume there's some clone work being, like some Resident Evil type clone work being done in here. There's blood. So clearly some accidents happened. This should be fun. I hope it's dark. Speaking of dark, apparently the third boss is very engaging again, much like the other dungeon bosses that we've had. I'm excited. Remember when I said I hope they don't go back and undo these bosses because I really like the more engaging dungeon bosses? Yeah, maybe the first 2 might be easy, but at least the third one. Yep. Echoes of Vana'diel. So we saw a screenshot on Twitter before this of the throne room from Castles of All Baileys. So, of course, my guess would be Castles of All. What I've learned is that we know nothing. So they asked everyone who plays 11. They did the first test. The first raid is Juno, the first walk. Now, Final Fantasy XI players will notice the sky first and foremost. In Final Fantasy XI, there are alternate versions of all the city-states called Dynamis. It's a whole thing. It's a separate dream realm that's run by Diablos and blah, blah. It's a lot to talk about. So most people would jump to that conclusion. But Echoes, of course, is a very important name. In Final Fantasy XI, there's also the Walk of Echoes, which is the barrier between dimensions that essentially is broken down, and all the different versions of Vana'diel coexist with portals in between them. Yeah, and that's run by Atomos. Now, there, of course, are other possibilities. They, of course, do confirm that this is not Final Fantasy XI's Vana'diel. It is within Final Fantasy XIV, which means that what we know about 11 doesn't necessarily apply to why we're going through Dynamis here, or why we're going through Juno at all, because it starts here in Juno and ends here in a reimagination of the throne room and the Castles of All Baileys. Are we teleporting between the different locations? Do we just start in Juno? Has the top of Juno been morphed into something? Is it just like the Grand Duchy at its peak has been taken over? Is this a land? Like, there's a lot of possibilities, and 11's lore with its multiverse is very complex, very complicated, and probably not worth talking about right now. That being said, it's cool. And we know Prish is a part of this. And Prish, yeah, I'll make a video about that. We'll save that for another time. But yeah, and then they just talk about a brief thing about how the names in 11 are displayed as alphabetical numbers and not like 14 in Japanese, but they didn't change it. So the names will not be written in Japanese during these alliance raids. So that's pretty interesting. And then we have the Interphos Extreme Minstrel's Ballad Sphenes Burden. And yeah, I hope they don't botch this. Endsinger was kind of a disappointment last expansion. This one, they said that we debated if it might be a bit much. I feel like they say that every time, and it's never a bit much. So not taking that too seriously. We have some new backgrounds. For those who weren't paying attention during the Interphos, the boss actually takes you essentially two different calamities. The gravity section is an earth calamity, for example, and the pushback section is a wind calamity. This is an ice calamity, and you can see the barrier bridge. You can see the bridge, and Yoshi P even says that bridge is probably gonna break because the boss is firing lasers, so you're gonna want to be on one side. So I'm expecting a lot of fun with the ice bridge. It's gonna be a good time. He's like, I don't trust that. And Foxconn's like, I don't trust that bridge. And Yoshi P says, look, she's firing lasers, but the bridge might disappear. And there'll be some pretty rewards. Our next Unreal is Byakko. Listen, I knew Byakko was going to happen this expansion. I was hoping it would be 7.2 and we would get Nidhogg or Susanoo or something else first. But it's Byakko. So probably Byakko, Suzaku, Seiryu as the next three. Maybe they'll take a break in between and do a different one, but no more games. That's our next Unreal. Now, new battle content. They show a few examples of battle content here. You can see there's some exploration zones, there's alliance raids, there's all sorts of stuff. You can see the near 24-mans there. This is the fabled Savage Alliance raid. They did indeed tell the truth that we were getting a 24-man Savage, I put that in air quotes, and that it would come in 7.1x. Both of these things were real. Those were not mistranslations in any capacity. They are calling it the Chaotic Alliance Raid. It is against a single boss. It is not a full run-through of one of the Alliance Raids. And it is Cloud of Darkness. We are doing extreme/savage level Cloud of Darkness. They said they wanted it to be more like an extreme, but unfortunately, Mr. Ozma, who is notorious for making content of this difficulty way harder. He also made DSR. Take that as you will. He said, oops, I guess it's more savage than extreme. So, yeah. Now, you might be wondering, what does a Savage 24 man look like, right? It looks like that. Now, you might think that doesn't look that bad. Oh, there's platforms on the outside, and then there's this intersection right here. And so you could put like some people on the outside, some people on the inside, and then we don't know, like whatever. Like, okay, you're just separating them. Watch this. I'm going to ruin your hopes and dreams in one slide. So those are the E9S PvP tiles. The outside things are there, which require 3 people in each of the towers. There's an Atomos off to each side on the left and the right. And I believe you have a cloud of darkness in the middle of the room. I don't know if there's another one behind it, but yeah. And you can see that there are some towers that require 2 people, and they're in between 2 PvP tiles. You need 1 person on each tile. So you can see the 2 on the right. You can see the one that anything that requires 1 is solo on its platform. Any of the ones that require 2 are in between 2 platforms. And I've counted all the towers, and there's exactly 24 people required while doing PvP tiles. And the Atomos, part of the arena with the Atomos, while it looks like a death wall, is technically reachable. So have fun. I will be like, now the real question is, they don't say when this is. They don't say 7.1x. They don't say 7.1. I hope it's like 7.15, so it's in like January-ish. Because I'll need some time for my rectum to close after I finish Eden Ultimate. So that way it could be torn back open by this thing. So hopefully there's a decent amount of time in between the 2 of them. Now, important bit. Rewards. They didn't tell us what the rewards are, but they said there is an incentive to repeatedly clear and to help out, which implies that you will not just do it once and then like be done for the week, or just do it once and have all the rewards. Now, to be fair, and I said to be fair like 6 times, materia is definitely something that couldn't. No. It can't be materia. No. It cannot. No. Is it a mount? Is it a weapon? Is it a combination? Is it a body piece? Honestly, I think it needs to be a number of left side glams. And I don't mean just glams. I mean like item level 730, like body with like 3 materia slots, legs with 3 materia slots, something, hands with 3. And then maybe a mount as well. I think there needs to be a slew of rewards. You cannot have 1 or 2 things. As fun as it might be, I think you need progression-related rewards. And to be fair, it's coming after. I call it glam because the next patch is 7.2. You're going to replace it all with crafted. But it still needs to progress the character. I'm willing to bet that it will be just totems drop, and you can spend the totems. But what you can buy with them is important. It needs to be something valuable. If they screw this up, I'm gonna be dooming for the rest of the expansion. I hate to say it now, but I will be dooming for the rest of the expansion if they screw this up. Because if this isn't right, I'm not gonna trust that Criterion's right, and I'm not gonna trust that anything else is right. So consider me a little on edge. A little bit. Then we have Eden Ultimate. We didn't get too much more from this. I mean, we already saw what's probably the final form. So what else is there to say? There's, Thancred. We already saw Thanjeet here, so we knew this was a thing. And then we see... So what's happening here, that's the Apocalypse ability. We see single, double, and triple APOC in the original fight. This is quad APOC. But she's also casting Spell in Waiting. So she's spell in waiting the quad APOC for later. And that is dangerous. I'm scared of that. I'm already scared. Double and triple APOC caused not an insignificant number of issues to properly space for the mechanic during Prague. Quad APOC is very likely to have... Essentially, there's not going to be a guaranteed safe spot at any point. You're going to have to move with all of the APOCs and have everyone do it perfectly. I mean, it's Ultimate. What are you expecting, right? But that's a fun little tease. Oh, and remember that spell and waiting thing? Mr. Ozma came up with that. Anyway, it's following the normal schedule. Yoshi P couldn't remember what the normal schedule was while he was on stage 2 weeks after launch. 2 weeks. I actually thought it was 1 week for the longest time too. Then we looked back, it's 2 weeks. So if my prediction of a November 12th patch comes true, then yeah, November 26th was my prediction. Now you might be wondering about that. Earlier in the live letter, he said mid-November for the patch, and said very specifically, if you've been playing Final Fantasy XIV a long time, you probably know when this is. I've been playing for a long time. 19 weeks is the pattern, November 12th. I'm going to stick with that prediction, and I sure hope all the people taking paid time off don't hate me if it's wrong, because it'd be very unfortunate if it was wrong, because he's given me a lot of reassurance with that statement that I'm right. So please be right. Please be right. Now, this one was weird. Mahjong is getting an update where you can get voices from the Scions to cheer you on while you play. Okay. I don't have much. I don't play Mahjong, so I don't know how to feel about that. But enjoy, Mahjong enjoyers. And then the final bit, housing update. So this was huge. I don't think anyone was ready for this. I've seen some people predict this or ask for it. I would have never had this on my bingo card. So they are not doing the exterior furnishing limit increase. They did say that's coming at 7.x, but that is not happening this patch. Technically, they're also not giving you the option to just remove pillars, another long time request, but they are making it so you can change the interior to any interior from any housing area. Now, of course, that raises the question. If you can change the interior to any of the other ones, couldn't you just add a new interior? And the answer is yes. And in fact, the one that they showed has no pillars. So this is technically the pillar being removed, but at the cost of it being a different interior. Now, what does this mean? This means they can add new interiors instead of adding new housing areas. Not that they would still, obviously they could still add new housing areas. I'm not saying they won't. But like, let's say they never plan on doing Solution 9 housing. They can make a Solution 9 interior. At the very least, you have that, right? Obviously, that doesn't solve the ability to buy a house. But if you have the house, it means that they can, you know, they don't have to actually take you there. But that's not where it ends. Because they then presented the next logical question that anyone would ask. Well, if you could just change the interior, can't you just change it no matter what your interior is? Even if it's like a small, medium, or a large? And they did confirm. Sometime throughout Dawn Trail, you will be able to change the interior of any size house to any other size house. So if you have a small house, you can change the interior to a medium or a large. They said the gil cost will be quite extensive, but you are effectively able to have you have a TARDIS house. Now, of course, this requires having a house. Still a problem for many people. But if you've always wanted a large interior, but you only were able to get the small, you can now have the large interior. Now, my question is, what about apartments, Yoshi P? What about apartments? Huh? I remember that you said, oh, we could probably make it so you could upgrade your apartment size. And then you just did it for housing instead. What's going on, man? You're like, wow, it's great. Let's not do that. Let's do it for the house because houses are cooler. I get it. Should have brought up. I want a penthouse. I want a townhouse, penthouse. I want something. That's my hope because I don't want to buy a house. I want a house. I don't care about the exterior. I just want to stick trophies in there. But I want it to look cooler. Maybe if it looked cooler, I would care. But yeah, that's pretty important. But it's gonna cost a lot of gil. The changing of the interior from like small to different smalls, that's free. Changing from a small to a medium or a large or medium to a large or whatever, that's not free. So bear that in mind. And that was the end of it. I mean, then they said, here's the soundtrack, here's the Primals concert, the Stream Pass / fan stream, the archive footage from the one they just did. Here is some new official merchandise, which, what is this? Is that a whip? What is that? Does anyone know what this is? I can't. It's just, what is this last one? What is this last jobstone? Is that Emmett? It's Emmett Selk's crystal. Okay, I can't, like, I don't recognize it off the top of my head. Okay, that's just Emmett Selk's crystal. Picto, Viper, and Emmett Selk. my favorite soul stone, Emmett Selk. I don't recognize Emmett Selk's soul stone off the top of my head. You're out of your mind. And then we just got to see Yoshi P's Kryl shirt again. And all of, geez, look at his jewelry. How does, look at 1, 2, 3, watch. 4, 5, this man is so swagged out. And then also the fans themselves, and also the tabletop RPG, Delve Deeper. I thought this was already out. So this is a standard rulebook and a deluxe edition. Is this like a new book? I thought this was already out, but this makes it sound like it's the standard one. Deluxe edition. Yeah, maybe it's just a second print. They had a starter box. Oh, okay. So now it's the full rules. Yeah, Delve Deeper is the thing that confused me. Yeah, because I didn't really know what the first thing released with. So I was a little confused. And that was it. Like I said, it was pretty short. They just kind of went over everything. Part 2 is going to talk a little bit about the graphics update. They said it would cover, obviously, more details and in-game footage of a lot of the stuff we saw today, plus additional details of stuff they didn't talk about today. And then, yeah, the interior design changes are coming with 7.1. The size changes are in the future. Yeah, that's for anyone who didn't fully understand. This is not for 7.1. And that's it for the letter from the producer live number 83. Some exciting stuff. In case you were wondering about any of the other content that we know is coming throughout Dawn Trail, I did make a State of the Realm with Sly where we go over the approximate schedule. Beastmaster is not slated until late Dawn Trail. Cosmic Exploration has no date, but I would guess it would be 7.2x. We already know the exploration area is 7.2x. It's called the Occult Crescent. It's part of the Shades Triangle series. And we don't know anything about variant or criterion timing, although the first variant and criterion dungeon in Endwalker was in 0.2x, so 6.2x. So that's a decent time to predict it. Deep Dungeon normally is a 0.3x thing. We also don't know how many chaotic alliance rates we're going to get this expansion. So question marks, a lot of question marks. We also don't know much about some of those PvP updates. I really hope the frontline thing is what I'm predicting, but that's not till 7.2 anyway, so that's fine. And yeah, that's going to be it for the letter from the producer live number 83. So thank you for tuning in to my overview on this. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned. Remember, I will be doing some Final Fantasy XI related stuff on locations like Juno, on characters like Prish, and for other things you might expect to see in the future. But with that, I will see all of you in the next video. And until then,